country, and we as a people continue to suffer as a result of it. And it's not just the economics, but it's the culture of a slave mindset that has been passed along until this very day. We're not here asking the Koreans for anything.
Nothing. Go ahead.
We want the same thing that you want. We're not here asking for money. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not seeking to personally gain, nor is the Nation of Islam seeking to gain anything from you in terms of you giving us anything. We want the same thing that you want. But when we look at all of those, whether they were Christians or whether they were Jews or whether they were Muslims, they all benefited from what happened to black people in America. Here I have two books that are entitled The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. We know that the Jews have always sought to have a relationship with black people from the very beginning, going back to the NAACP, but even before the founding of the NAACP. They always sought to find a way to advance their agenda, and blacks in America have always had the moral authority and the just position so that we could be used for others to ride our backs and to strengthen their position in this society. But when all of the rights were gained, we were never in a position to benefit from it. Here is another book by the research department of the Nation of Islam entitled How White Folks Got So Rich. Everyone who has ever told black people, pull yourself up from your bootstrap, they come from a people who never had to do that. Everything in these two books has been documented, and they are all quotes of respected Jewish scholars. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was asked to denounce the book, and he asked the Jewish community to denounce every scholar that was quoted in the book, and then he would consider it, and they never responded. This is their own history. Everybody has always wanted a relationship with us. The Jews have been in a relationship with the black community, and they have sucked the resources out of the community. And after them, the Pakistans have done it. After them, the Indians have done it. The Arabs have done it. The Italians have done it in our community. And now the Vietnamese did it. The Koreans. This is not something that you did. You are now just the next person in the line of people who have come to the black community and taken advantage of a people who have been destroyed in this country, and it is our work under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to try to repair the damage that has been done. Why in the American textbooks, in the history books, you don't hear anything, or there's not one paragraph about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a black man with a 4th grade education who built mosques and temples and schools all over America, who bought farmland here in America so that we could produce for our own selves, who taught us to open businesses in our community. Many of those businesses have been destroyed, unfortunately, as a result of integration, because we start to go and marry ourselves on with other communities before we start to actually come together as a people, pool our own resources, and do for ourselves what other self-respecting people do. Black community, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, is like a big mammary gland. Every community that comes to America nurses their community to strength off the black community. Every ethnic group that has migrated to this country has not come seeking to help the black community. And there will always be those from among us who, whenever there is a cry for justice from among our people, will always want to go and sit down with those who are committing the injustice, and for a few pennies will be willing to be quiet and try to calm the masses of our people who are crying out for justice. So we want you to understand Mr. Youth, what it looks like to our community when it appears that you are coming to seek refuge in the oldest civil rights organization in the United States of America, the NAACP, at a time when there has been nothing done to correct the wrongs that are being done on a daily basis by many in your community who do business in our community in an unjust manner, who are disrespectful to the people in our community. And then it puts the NAACP in a horrible position where they're, in some instances, painted as an organization who would be willing to accept your membership and your dues or your money in exchange for what? For the NAACP to be quiet when there's an injustice in our community? We call that selling out in the community, and we know that the NAACP has done great work to advance the cause of our people, and we will not allow this to happen without raising our voices to say that if that is the intention on your part or their part, it is wrong.
Come on.
The mayor talks now about an economic development plan, but he should understand that we're not asking him to come up with an economic development plan for the southern sector of Dallas. We're saying that you don't have to go and gather anybody to bring into our community. We have enough intelligent and competent people in our community that if the same resources that are afforded others from the banks in the community that won't loan money to black businesses and all of the other unjust institutions that exist that prevent us from doing. We're not talking about just a select few of us in a privileged position. We want this for all of our people. And we could do it for ourselves. You want to be my brother? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us that to be a Muslim means that you must want for your brother what you want for yourself. We want to own land, and we want to do manufacturing, and we want to enter into international trade and commerce, and we want to do what people do for their own so that we could gain the respect of other people around the world. In fact, it was a Japanese man who negotiated the deal for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who had ships sailing off the coast of Peru, bringing in whiting fish that made the Nation of Islam the #1 importers of fish in America. Not just among black people, but among anybody. We don't hate Korean people. We don't hate anybody who has not put themselves in a position to be hated. God hates in the Bible that I read. He hates evil and wickedness, otherwise he would not destroy so many people.
Go ahead.
He hates exploitation, and he hates injustice. We want to own where we live. We want to own the businesses in our own community and serve the needs of our community. How many black banks and black businesses exist in Seoul? You are self-respecting people who speak of courage and honor and dignity and family, and we want to know, is there something in your culture that allows you to treat one another based on these high principles, but come to our community and conduct business in a dishonorable way?
Come on.
That destroys the community and families. There's a moral question here. These books highlight that in slavery, it was a Jewish rabbi who came up with what is called the Hamitic curse that gave white Southerners the moral justification for slavery. And what he said was that black people were the cursed descendants of Ham, one of the sons of Noah in the Bible, who mocked him in his drunkenness, and because of that, his descendants were cursed to be black, even though the Bible doesn't say that.